Hey, time to shine today, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I have a fantastic interview with my Philly boy, my good friend, Fred Moskowitz. He's about the cash flow. And when I kind of came up into the business world, and I said that in air quotes if you're just listening, basically I was taught that cash is king and that the more that you can own the flow of it, the more, successful you can be. Now, people know about my 2009 situation. I kind of lost everything, but prior to that, I really built a portfolio using note investing and cash flow. And I'm not going to try to explain it because there's no way that I can really put it in a way that you can understand, but my good friend here, Fred Moskowitz, does. And so I would recommend that if you're looking for an alternative way to cash flow, that you don't always have to use your money. It's people really want to get involved in this and hop in it because everything's legal and everything's secured. Then break out your notebooks because I'm going to bring on Fred Moskowitz now, and you do not want to miss it. And if anybody else, please share this with them or maybe hit subscribe, like it. My sponsors and affiliates really love that as well. So again, without further ado, here's my really good friend, Fred Moskowitz. Let's level up. Time to shine today, podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I get really excited. Obviously, you guys know about people that are investing in real estate, and I get a lot of mom and pop investors, commercial investors, one-offs, flips, all yada yada. But my friend here from the East Coast that I can't wait to actually meet in live in person in a couple of weeks, Fred Moskowitz, he's about note investing, and he's not just about note investing; he's also about cash flow, and he loves to help people level up their cash flow because no matter what they say out there, I don't care how inflation is, but cash is always going to be king. And my good friend Fred Moskowitz is an educator and best-selling author, which stick around to the end because I have a free book giveaway. And he's trained countless investors from all walks of life on how to create passive income streams of their own. As a fund manager, Fred manages a mortgage note investment fund and is considered an industry veteran within the note investing arena. Fred teaches the concept that individual investors are able to step into the shoes of the lender. Just think about that. You become the bank, people, which that's the banks have the power. You can actually become the bank. And Fred takes pride in collaborating with investors to help them grow and profit in the note space, as well as being a trusted and valued resource in the arena of alternative investments. His new book, not so new, but it's newer book, The Little Green Book of Note Investing, has recently launched a couple of years ago, actually. And again, hang around to the end because there will be a free book away. And Fred, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, my friend, what's your favorite color and why?
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for having me on today. My
Damn it.
favorite color
Yeah.
is green. I
Green.
love green. Mhm.
Love it, man. It has to do with them notes and that cash flow, brother.
It has to do with so much. It has
Yeah.
to do with the abundance we
Yes.
see in nature.
Rebirth, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it's life,
Yeah.
it's abundance, it's all those good things, growth and
Yeah.
creation. Yeah.
I love it. And I got to tell you, man, when I always look at the docket for the next day's interviews, right? And I must have did like 10 more burpees this morning because I was so fired up to talk about cash flow and notes and stuff like that because people are not taught this stuff in just general education. What I'm saying, they're taught to be
Yeah.
pigeonholed and do this. And you are a legend, man. We also vet you out and do what you're talking about. And my good friend Fred out there, Squatty Rock stages, and if you can see him speaking anywhere, please get out there and see it. And you can see some clips on his website as well. So Fred, let's get to the origins though, brother. Where do we start and then kind of work our way up to how your passion for helping people understand that cash flow is king, right? And how it instill that in their mind, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'll share a little bit about my background,
Yeah.
Scott. I started out in life having this very long and successful career working as a computer engineer. And I spent many years working at different tech companies, startup companies. And what happened to me was I watched my entire industry get flipped upside down because we had the bursting of the dot-com bubble,
Early
and
2000s,
that
yeah.
was immediately followed by the September 11th terrorist attacks. And you can just imagine so much turmoil in the world. The tech industry was in shambles. And so I realized that at that moment that I was way too dependent on the paycheck for my job. It was my only source of income, just one source of income. And so I was taking on this huge risk by relying on this single source of income. And even though I loved my job, I loved the work I did, it seemed that my jobs were always just full of all these circumstances completely out of my control. And I quickly learned that no matter how talented of an engineer I was or how valuable of an employee I was, the bottom line is if things were not going well in the company or at the industry overall, that I could quickly lose my job through no fault of my own. And so I came to the realization that I needed to start having other sources of income so that I wouldn't be so dependent on that paycheck. And with that, I turned to alternative investments. Namely, I got started with real estate investing. I wanted to build a rental portfolio and generate cash flow from that. That's the income that I was seeking, was income from other sources that was isolated from my paycheck at work, and start to provide some diversification. And so that's how I got started. But through my real estate investing and education, I sat in front of some masters of real estate education, some of the real old masters, like people like Jack Miller and Jimmy Napier and Peter Fortunato, right? Some of the great names in real estate education. But I started to learn over time about this niche area called note investing.
Yes.
And what I learned about note investing I thought was interesting was it's similar to real estate, but you're investing in the paper of the transaction. Instead of owning the real estate, you're owning the loans and receiving cash flow from that. And so that became that was very appealing to me. And so I really started to grow and expand that, get involved. And I saw that it was something that you could really ramp up and scale up.
Sure.
And so I became very interested, and over time, over many years, it grew and grew, and now is my primary business and my primary activity that I work on.
That's awesome, Fred. So what was your, first of all, may I ask your age? And we'll take this off the mic if you don't mind saying, but or you do mind saying, but how old are you?
I'm 50.
Okay, so I'm 51. So you and I are like, boom, like right there. So we saw the dot bomb. We could call it dot bomb, basically.
Yeah.
And
It was,
the bubble.
was
and
exciting time for me. The dot-com boom, the birth of the internet. I was in that.
Yeah.
It was
you were
exciting.
In it.
Yeah, I
was
in it. I was a part of it. I worked at the startup companies.
Right.
I saw things that were amazing.
Sure.
And it was so exciting to be on the cutting edge of a lot of these technologies and products that we were bringing them out to the world.
Right.
And I was a part of that. And so that was really exciting for me as a young engineer.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. And did any of those purple books give you any of the incentive to start any of this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kiyosaki, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That was huge influence
Rich
for
Dad,
me.
Poor Dad.
Yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Interesting thing.
You and I are brothers from different mothers, man. I'm going to tell you right now, bro.
The interesting thing about that book is it's more of a motivation and high level strategy about how to structure your life and how to think about investing and how to organize yourself. It doesn't teach you how to do investing, the hands-on, the tactical, that you have to go elsewhere. But it's a great book to get started and refocus your mindset in a good way.
It's so funny with Kiyosaki. I went to an event and I had his book and it was in shambles, man. It was like highlighted everything. I probably borrowed it out 10 times and I had it, gave it to him. He's like, Mr. Ferguson, can I have that? And he took it from me. Well, within a week, he had it like, when you come down here in a couple of weeks, I'm going to show it to you, man. It's like encased in a thank you note written from Kiyosaki. It was super cool because I paid a buttload of money to like meet him, like in a thing. And he's like, "Oh, Mr. Ferguson, I've got that." I was like, that's epic. Because what I heard a lot about while you're doing this is it even says it in the books that work your day job, but mind your own business, right? So you're working your job as a software engineer, or again, I'm dumb to that area, so please forgive me for any errors. But you knew something like people say you make a living from 9 to 5, you make a life from 5 to 9, and I love that you did that. You had the vision to see that. That's freaking awesome, Fred. So, what was your first investment that you remembered, and how was the butterflies in your stomach? Because again, you come from a tech background where they're not a bunch of risk takers in the business, where you're risk takers on the screen, on your software and stuff like that. But in the business world, what was your first deal and what was your feelings while you're about to sign that one?
Yeah. My first deal was buying a 4-unit apartment building in Philadelphia. That was my first property. And I got it. It was in an awesome neighborhood, a great location. The numbers worked well on paper. It cash flowed. And the prior owner had a lot of deferred maintenance on the property.
Okay.
So I knew that I was going to have to put money into it.
Sure.
But everything looked good. The numbers worked. The rent roll was good. And there was all this resistance that kept coming up. There were some people telling me, "Hey, that's a bad deal. Don't do it."
Of course.
My lender was the financing. I had a lot of trouble with the financing, even though I had a good, stable W-2 job, all of excellent credit, all of these things. There were some problems getting close to closing where we were worried that the lender was not going to do the purchase.
Wow.
And it was a bit scary.
Baptism
and so looking
fire.
back at it, it's like all of this different resistance from different places.
Yeah.
But in the end, everything went very well and worked out well. And that's how I got my start.
Right.
And that was my first deal.
How long did you hold it for, or do you still hold it?
Still hold it.
That's all. You and I are
long term.
My first one was in Ypsilanti, Michigan, on Eastern Michigan's campus, right?
Okay.
And I still own it to this day, man.
Yeah.
And that was 1990. No, it's 2000.
That's a good area there, Ypsilanti.
Yeah.
It's a nice area. Yeah.
Ypsilanti,
I'm pretty sure we've done some note deals there, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes Ypsi, and then Ypsilanti, and then Ann Arbor, where the University of Michigan is. It's like right next door. So that's awesome. So do you ever work one-on-one with people to educate them on this, or do you do it more through the mass market, or what's
both?
your okay.
I've done both. I love education. I feel very strongly about it. And it's something that you have to take the initiative yourself. Like you mentioned earlier, you have to take it upon yourself to learn, find the opportunities to learn, and put yourself around the right people.
Right.
And then you do it. But education is especially in investing, it's super important. Yes. And this is the way that we grow, that we expand upon the area where we are and take it to the next level. It's always through education.
Love it. And so if you're working with somebody, maybe you're in a discovery conversation, you're meeting at a coffee shop and they know, hey, I'm meeting the legend Fred, right? And you're kind of sitting there. Is there any secret sauce you might use to help them find their blind spots about investing? Or what do you see these people's biggest fears are? Yeah,
there's a couple things, Scott. And one of the first questions I ask, especially when someone is interested in node investing, because there's multiple ways to get involved in it.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I always have to start with how much time do you have? How much time do you have? How involved do you want to be in note investing? Because you can be an active investor in note investing where you're
Yes.
hands-on involved in it, or you can be passive. You can be passive as a note investor, which requires no time at all.
Yeah.
And it depends on your individual situation. If you are a busy professional or business owner and you're focused on your career, you're focused on your business, then you're not going to have a lot of time.
Right.
And so for someone in that role, it's best to be a passive investor. You can be a passive investor in notes by investing in a note fund that's managed, and you don't have to do any work. The only time required of you
Mhm.
is the time you spend analyzing the fund before you get involved. But
Yeah.
after that, it's passive income coming
Right.
into you. And
Right.
that's great. Now, for someone else, let's say someone else I speak with, they say, "Hey, Fred, I've got a lot of time. I want to be active in the note business." Well, great. That's different. Then the approach you're going to have is build a portfolio. You're going to go out to the secondary market, start buying notes or creating notes out of your own deals one by one. And then over time, your portfolio grows. But that's active, where every day you're out there sourcing deals, finding notes to buy, and working on those opportunities. And there's no right or wrong answer on
Sure.
this, Scott. It all comes down to each person's individual situation.
Their
So
flavor.
that's always where I start before anything else.
Love that, man. I love that you broke it down into active and passive because, again, there's some people that were maybe like you that really like it, but they like their tech job a ton and they're making that little bit of chicken that they can invest into it and they can just kind of sit back. And I love that. So, is there, when you're meeting with people, and again, they're kind of flying blind into a lot of it because I know I've met with what do you mean by notes? Like you're the bank,
Yeah.
stuff. Is there any, Fred, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's a question that comes up all the time is, why do banks sell notes? Like, if a note is so good, why do they
A
sell it?
performing note, why are they
Yeah,
selling it? Yeah,
why does an investor sell a note? Is there something wrong with it? Is it undesirable where they want to offload it?
sure.
And that's a question that comes up a lot.
Hmm.
But the reality is that notes, there's a huge secondary market where mortgage notes are bought and sold every single day.
Big Short. I'm just kidding.
And
Right.
and there's nothing wrong with the notes.
Yeah.
The reason they're sold is typically because of liquidity.
They want to make room,
The
right?
lender needs to recapitalize.
Yes. Yes.
And if you think about this, here, let me go through a little story
Yeah,
that I'm
please.
sure a lot of people can relate. Have you ever gone out and bought a property with financing, or refinance a property? You go to closing, you sign the loan documents, you do all the thing,
I know where
walk
this is
out of
going.
there, right? With your new
Yeah.
loan,
Yeah.
30-year fixed rate loan at a great rate. You're excited, you're happy.
Right.
You start making those monthly payments.
And
Well,
then
wouldn't after about 3 months, maybe three to
yeah.
6 months, you get that letter from the lender saying, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner,
Yeah.
please be advised your loan is being sold.
And you're making your check to these people now.
Yeah, starting next month, please send your payment to the new
Yeah.
lender.
Happens every
Here's your
day,
address."
dude.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. And so that's the secondary market at work.
Yeah.
The lender sold that loan. And by the way, they sold it at a discount,
Huge. Yeah.
but they sold that loan. Why? So that they can recapitalize. And then the very next day, they can turn around and originate a new loan to someone
Yes.
else. That's their business model.
Yeah.
Loan originators need to originate loans.
Yeah.
They make their money on the application fees and the points and all that stuff. And they do it at a high volume with a low margin. That's how they operate. And so this is why loans get sold. Those loans get bought on the secondary market. They get put in mortgage-backed
Sure.
securities, or a Wall Street firm buys them to
Right.
create a securitization. And then later on, it'll get sold again. Loans pass through many hands
Yes,
over the
sir.
years.
Yeah,
But
and
for us as investors, we're able to go to the secondary market and bid on those loans also and buy them at a discount.
yeah.
And so that's what we do. That's the mainstay of our business. So for note investors that are well positioned with good relationships and good positioning in the market, we're able to take advantage of opportunities that come up to maybe negotiate a better discount,
Mm,
make a good purchase, a good acquisition. And then when we have that, we generate great cash flow.
that's
That's what note investing is all about. And
yeah.
yep.
That's beautiful. But again, people like I remember there was the company, I believe it was Bauer Capital, and they used to rank the banks, right?
Mhm.
And this is a long time ago. And you'd get this magazine, it was like this thick, and be like, you go find the banks that were low ranking, and we used to call them and ask for their non-performing notes, right? And be like, what do
Yeah.
you got? What do you got? What do you got? And I miss those days, Fred. I really do a lot, man. As I moved into coaching, I do miss that moving and shaking. So how about a nightmare that you've went through and you're like, oh shit, man, I'm gonna have to like really tread water to get out of this situation? Did you almost or ever make like something? Of course, you've obviously recovered because you're legendarily successful in the note world, but tell us about a nightmare sitch.
Yeah, I'll tell you about something that didn't happen to me, but to a group of investors that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something really, really to be careful about with note investing. They went and made a very large note purchase, and the seller the seller was a little bit less than upstanding in their business practices.
Mm,
And unfortunately, the investors, they wired off their money to purchase the notes, and they're sitting there waiting to receive the loan files, the loan documents, everything
mm,
that's supposed to come, and it didn't come by the contract date. They started calling and calling to the seller saying, "Hey, what's going on?" And the end result was the seller said, "Hey, we sold your notes to someone else." I said, but we funded it already." "Well, that's too bad. You can sue us in
so
court."
did they double dip it though? You funded
Yeah.
it and then somebody else funded it too?
Yeah, exactly. It was
uh
double sold. And that's the thing to really, it's scary.
yeah,
It's
dude.
really
Yeah,
scary because there's no consumer protections. These are
they're
business
not.
commercial
True. Yeah,
transactions.
man.
And so a lot of this, you have to rely on the relationship
Yes.
and the integrity of who you're doing business with.
Right.
There's a lot of sharks out
Oh,
there.
dude. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's a
so you have to protect yourself. And as a note investor, it's so important to you do your due diligence on who
huge.
you're
Yeah.
doing business with.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
No, thank you for pointing that
it's
out to
so
people.
important.
Yeah.
Now, even though this is a scary story, in the end, they had to go to court.
Hmm.
They got their money back in the end, but it just took so long.
Hmm.
It took so long. And think about all the wasted mental energy and stress and
Right.
all that. You can't put a monetary value on that.
Right. No, I appreciate
But
it.
when that happens, it just detracts. You can't
Yeah.
do other deals. You're not focused. All of these negative things in your mind, your
Sure.
mindset. And so that's horrible.
Yeah.
And so, wow, it's like avoid getting into bad transactions at all costs, and
If you
be
can.
very
Yeah.
careful whether you're doing a real estate deal or a note deal, any business
Sure.
transaction, know who you're doing business with.
Yeah.
Do they have a good
Especially
track
in
record?
notes, man, because
Yeah.
again, there's no Dodd-Frank Act, there's no nothing that
Yeah.
protects us with that stuff 100%. So Fred, as we move along a little bit, have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yes,
Yeah, I already know. I
absolutely.
was
In
gonna
the
say, dude, we're the
80s.
same age
Of
basically. So
course.
let's get in that DeLorean with Marty. like, let's go back to the double deuce, the 22-year-old Fred. Like, I don't want you to change anything this time because your life is been a rock star life. But would you drop, what knowledge nuggets might you drop on him to maybe help him shorten a learning curve and blast through maybe just a little bit quicker?
Yeah. Surround yourself with people that are at a higher level than you and where they're sitting at a place that you want to get to.
Yes.
Because when you do that,
you'll emulate them. Yeah.
You can ask for help.
Yes.
You can learn from them. You can add value.
Yes.
And it matters so much the crowd you're with.
I love you said that, because actually one of my signature speeches that I give on stage is the plus equals minus. Like, every day live a plus equals, like, a plus is like, look for somebody that's where you want to be, and equals might be like when you and I meet in Boynton or West Palm and we just chop it up and we share knowledge, and then we send the elevator down, the minus. We send the elevator down to pull people up to us. Yeah. And I love that you said to surround yourself with people, because you'll start to emulate their success, and you'll start just that law of attraction. I'm not saying foo woo woo. I'm just talking about just being around them.
This is not foo foo. This is real stuff.
Lingo.
Think about that.
Yeah.
When the group you surround yourself with, right?
Yeah,
you are going to start reading the same things they read. You're going to start eating at the same places they eat.
Yeah, man.
You're going to start going to the same awesome events that they go to.
Sure.
And meeting and connecting with amazing people.
Right.
It's all about the proximity and the people around you and the environment you're putting yourself in.
Yeah.
And this works in the negative way as well. If there's people bringing you down, then you're going to get attracted to that.
Right. I love you say soar with those eagles, man. That's beautiful. So how does Fred want his dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date. Hopefully it's way down the line, your life date and death date on your tombstone, right? How does Fred want his dash remembered?
Fred impacted people in a very positive way.
It's easy, man.
That's something I always seek to, my goal is every interaction that I have with someone else, I hope to leave them better off than they were before we met. That's it. It's very small, very simple, but little by little you go around and it causes a ripple effect.
It does, bro.
It creates good in the world.
Right. And the more you mentor, like, the more immortal you become. It's just like people, I see a lot of these kids nowadays, they tell. There's no action, right? I believe that the more action that you take, the more people will talk about you and get your word out and put you together. I absolutely love this. So, Fred, what is your definition of a life well lived?
Having no regrets, having no shoulds. When you look back, when you get an idea that you want to do something, do it.
Yeah.
Like, do it. Scott, I have a running objective, a running goal for myself, is that every year I want to do something new, learn something new, whether it's business related or fun related, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I seek to do that every year. And so it's always fun at the beginning of each year coming up with, okay, what's the new thing for me?
What's 2023? What was 2023?
For me, it was taking up improv acting.
My man.
I took a class in improv acting to help me get better as a speaker.
Hell yeah.
And it was so much fun.
Yeah, dude. 100%.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was at a local theater here, they had classes, and I signed up, and it was awesome. It was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I leveled up my stage so much from improv. And there's like 9 improv schools in West Palm, dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you come down here, you want to go to a class at night sometime, maybe I'll see what the schedule is and go have some fun with it, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. We are back. And Fred, we're going to meet up here in a few weeks, hopefully, and talk about some of these questions at length. But today you have 5 seconds with absolutely zero explanations, but they can all be answered that way. You ready to level up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, Fred, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
The best leveling up advice I've ever received is to find someone else that's sitting in the place that you want to be
Yes.
and ask them for help.
Yes. Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
One of my personal habits is daily exercise.
Beautiful. So you see me kind of walking down the street or maybe at an event, you're like, man, Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums a little bit. What book might you hand me to level me up?
The book I would hand you is Life on Your Terms by Rex Sykes.
Yeah.
It's a mindset book. It's powerful.
Right. I love it. I'm a peak performance mindset coach, and I've delved into that. I have it in tatters over on my bookshelf over here. I love it. Your most commonly used emoji when you text?
The exclamation point, the red one.
Beautiful. Nicknames growing up?
Fred.
Love it. Beautiful. Do you have like a hidden talent or superpower that really nobody knows about until now?
Speak 3 languages.
Nice. That's beautiful, man. Headline for your life?
Headline for my life. Fred made a difference.
Beautiful. Go-to ice cream flavor?
Coconut.
Man, I'm just going to give you, there's a sandwich called the Freddy Moskowitz. Build that sandwich for me. What's on it?
What's on that sandwich? Smoked turkey.
All right.
Bacon.
Ooh, man candy.
Lettuce, tomato.
Yeah.
Avocado.
Ooh. Yeah, you and I are definitely.
And red pepper flakes to give it a little bit of a kick.
Nice. Yeah, we got some sandwich shops we'll hit up down here, buddy. So favorite charity and or organization like to give your time or money to?
My favorite is a charity called Share the Love.
What is that? I'll break the rule. What is it?
They raise money to gift wheelchairs to people that would not be able to afford having a wheelchair that need one.
Right.
And gives them the gift of mobility. Beautiful. Instead of having to be carried around by their family members.
That's awesome,
yeah.
Fred.
It's something we take for granted.
Yeah, dude. 100%.
Having our mobility.
Right.
And if you've ever been hurt or injured or you have to stay in bed for a few days, you really gain an appreciation for just being able to get around and do basic things.
Love it that you're doing that, man.
Some people have lost that.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. And last question, what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
80s.
I say you better say 80s. You graduate in 91? High school?
89.
Oh, 89. So you're a smarty pants then, huh?
Yeah.
I'm thinking if you're younger than me, I was 90. And I was okay. Very cool, brother. So tell me how can people find you, Fred?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Scott. Best way to find me is to connect on my website, which is fredmoskowitz.com.
Spell that for him, Fred.
Well, I won't spell that, but I'll say this. If you prefer an easier spelling, you can instead go to giftfromfred.com.
Oh, I love it.
And that will take you right to my website. And once you're there, you're able to request a free copy of my special report on note investing that I'm happy to send out. And also I invite everyone to register for my email newsletter that I have talking about all things investing and cash flow and mindset.
Love it. I love it. In Squad, all of that will be in the show notes as well. And Fred, tell us a little bit about the book. It looks like it popped out in December 2020. And in this, if I was still doing it, I would have been looking for it. Because if you just put in note investing books, just go ahead, Squad, go out there and do it. Fred's the first one that pops up on the left. Just did it myself. I can show you on the screen if people want to see it, but it's got to be chocked full of awesome stuff. I cannot wait to read. I'm going to read it because
Yeah,
one, it's going to send me back, and two, it's going to allow me to refer people to you for stuff. So, but like, tell us a little bit about the book, my friend.
yeah, thank you. The Little Green Book of Note Investing. It's available on Amazon. And what I've set out to do with this book is to provide a high-level overview about note investing, what it is, how does someone get involved, what are the different ways to get involved. We also have case studies all throughout the book where we break down live deals and how they work. And one of my favorite topics, which is how to do note investing using retirement account funds.
Ooh.
Maybe you have an old 401k from a prior employer or an IRA, you have that money, you want to put that to work for you. You can do that with note investing. And I talk about a lot of strategies for that, where you can invest with that retirement account capital and do note investing, and all of your profits are in a tax preferred environment. Or if you have a Roth IRA, it's tax free, which is super powerful. And that really ramps up your growth when you do that. And so I cover all these different strategies in the book, and a lot of great stories and case studies as well.
I love it, man. And Squad, I'm going to do a 3-book giveaway that actually I don't care if it's Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, or if you text it to 561-440-3830, just putting gift from Fred. Put that in there, because that giftfromfred.com is a gift that Fred's given you, but I'll know that you've listened this far if you put gift from Fred, and I will send out on Time to Shine Today's Dime, Fred's book, The Little Green Book of Note Investing. And Fred, if you could, please do me one last solid and leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action from.
Yeah, absolutely. So since I'm a Philly guy, I'd love to take a look at one of our founding fathers of this country and share some of his wisdom. This is from Benjamin Franklin. He taught me this very important lesson that he left all of us, and that is this: an investment in knowledge always pays the highest dividends. And so this is a reminder: invest in yourself no matter what you do, your education, your growth. I encourage people, if you have a personal budget for yourself, is there a line item for your education on there every year? How much money are you going to spend?
Yeah.
I
love it.
And do that, because the knowledge that you acquire and grow, no one can ever take that away from you. You won't lose it. It can't be taken away. And these are life skills that will always carry you forward and generate returns for you.
I love it. And thank you so much, friend. Squad, we just got a free masterclass, and not just note investing in cash flow, but in life, from a good friend, Fred Moskowitz, who was a computer engineer, a techie guy, got flipped upside down with a bubble, and then in 9/11. He found out really he was way dependent on that paycheck for his job. So he really got into controlling the controllables. What he can control, he went after, and he sought out other sources of income that was isolated from the work money that he was making. And again, that kind of goes back to, I've did speeches on it: work your day job, but mind your own business. Okay. Because success to me is living a life of options and not obligations. Okay. And that's what Fred can really help you do. And he can also said that owning loans and cash flow, you're able to scale it. And if you want like a warm introduction to Fred, please let me know. I can make it happen. Fred really feels strongly about education, and to keep expanding, especially about stuff you're passionate about, so you can really take that to level up. He realizes that each person is unique. And so you could either be a passive investor or an active investor. Either way, you can still make some serious cash flow. He wants you to surround yourself with people that are higher level than you. And if you're not sure how to do that, then just do it scared. Get out there and surround yourself with people. And if you don't know something, like my good friend Leah Woodford would say, get your asking gear. Get out there and ask for people. Fred will be remembered as somebody who really impacted people in a very positive way. I mean, this dude's out there planting trees. He's never going to sit in the shade of. And one thing I've noticed, is he does it for the intention, not the attention. He's not like, all eyes on me, look at me, look what I'm doing. He's doing it because he wants the world to get better. He wants to live with no regrets, no shoulds, coulds, woulds. He took the chance and he take action, and that's what he wants you to do. Every year, look to learn something new. Okay, I mean, I'm 2 languages behind Fred, but this year I got into Duolingo. I haven't missed a day this year with Spanish, and I'm really getting after that. Don't forget about our free book giveaway. Make sure you go to www.giftfromfred.com. And lastly, for your free gift, by the way, and lastly, just like one of our founding fathers, one of my heroes who's at my mastermind roundtable, Benjamin Franklin, said, an investment in knowledge always pays the highest dividends. And I just got knowledge nuggets up the woohoo from my good friend Fred here, who levels up his health. He levels up his wealth. He's hungry, yet he's humble. He's a handsome devil. And thank you so much for coming on, brother. I cannot wait to collaborate with you in the future.
Thank you, Scott. Looking forward to it.
You bet, brother. Chat soon.